I'm Saqib Ansari. I'm going to share a recent problem that I faced while improving permissions in Frappe Insights. So this is going to be a Jupyter Notebook presentation. So yeah, maybe I should just show what Frappe Insights is. So Frappe Insights is a BI tool, if you don't already know, and it has, at the core of it, it has workbooks, and in workbook, you create queries. There are 3 types of queries: query builder, SQL, and script. Script is just a Python script. SQL is native SQL. There is this special query builder where you can select any table. You can perform, okay. I don't have internet connection, so let's use local data. So yeah, you can perform operations like joins, order items. Let's select price here. And you have the price column here. Then you can perform multiple operations here like filtering, and let's just filter out for status to show, so not delivered orders, and then I can go here and select fields here, options, and you can just see, you can build charts like this. And once you have charts, you can drag and drop to create a dashboard. You can add a filter here. Let's say price is a number. You connect the chart here. You select the price, save, and done. What happened? Okay, never mind. I'll just do that again. Number, price, save, and then you can set the filters here and chart refreshes, and you can also click and perform drill downs here. So this is just the gist of it. I'll be going through the old permission structure and the new one. That's what I'm going to talk about. So the old workbook doc type had this kind of a document structure. It had just 3 JSON fields. They were queries, charts, and dashboards. It was a list, JSON text field, which stored a list of queries. But the problem, and the permissions were handled like by default. All the workbooks were restricted, and only owner has the access, and owner can give them access, share to give access to other users. But the problem was I can't share a single dashboard with someone else. So for that, I splitted the workbook into 3 different doc types: query, chart, and dashboard, and then manage the permissions using frameworks permission system. So the structure hierarchy was like this: like a dashboard, a workbook has dashboard, charts, and queries. A dashboard has charts, and a chart has a query. So handling permissions was a challenge here, because when sharing a dashboard, I have to ensure that all the dashboard chart and query document has to be shared with the user. And when sharing a dashboard, all the charts, dependencies, chart and queries has to be shared. So, and this means that if I had to rely on the same permission structure, that is sharing, which essentially creates a doc share document, which shares a single document with a user. So that means when dashboard adds any charts, then a doc share has to be created. If a chart query changes, then that query has to be shared implicitly. So I didn't want it to go through this automatic creation of doc shares. So essentially what I needed was to get the accessible allowed workbooks. All the own workbooks and shared workbooks should be allowed, and for dashboards it's like all the owned and shared ones along with the linked ones with accessible workbooks. Similarly for charts, it's linked with workbooks and linked with accessible dashboards. And for queries, there is one more level. So yeah, this is what I wanted to achieve with Frappe permission system. And the tools that framework provides wasn't ready for that, basically. So the way I achieved this, after exploring the code base, there were two mainly APIs. There is getList and getDoc, which are used to restrict documents from a user. So getList for list views and doc for a specific document. And there are two hooks which allows you to inject your own custom permissions into it. Those are permission query conditions and has permission. So the way they work is, the permission query condition works like this. It expects you to return a string, which is a SQL filter, which will be injected when your getList query runs. So essentially I can pass something like this, like you can only access these two workbooks. So I can generate this list on the fly, and the getList will be restricted. Similarly, for getDoc, there is this has permission hook, which gives you the doc access and user access. And you can write your own Python functions to check if the doc is allowed. If not, then return false. So the initial approach was something like this. I wrote this permission for restricting getList. I wrote permission queries for workbook, dashboard, query, and chart. And it fetched the list of names which the user has access to. That depended on like if the workbook is owned by the user or it is shared by the user. And those names were just injected here. But the problem here was I had to make two separate calls, DB calls, to just complete a getList call. And imagine for dashboard, it will be 3 calls. For charts, it will be 4, and for query, it will be 5. So I discovered, while writing these queries, I discovered that Frappe QB PyPika queries can be just injected here. Like this could be just a PyPika query object, and that's when I started rewriting it with QB SQL queries. So basically what this does is, you write the SQL query. This fetches the shared workbooks, and it returns a filter condition if the owner is user or name is in shared. So this just returns an SQL string, and you will see that the same workbook query can be used in dashboard query. So I similarly find out what the shared dashboards are, and then I can check I'll get the permission query for workbook, and this can be just appended here in the filter conditions. So this becomes a long query, but it doesn't seem long here. Similarly for I had for charts and everything. So yeah, I'll just show you the code also. And the same sub queries can also be used to check if user has a permissions to access a single doc. basically you just get the whole query that returns the list of names. You just apply the doc name filter, and if it returns any results, then user has access to this workbook. So I'll just show you how this looks in the permissions here. So there is this get permissions query, and assume this is a workbook. So let's see the queries query. So I fetch the owned queries here. It basically checks this condition. I fetch all the fetch the query to return the workbook access query, and in the end it just becomes a one large query that is just the join of all the individual queries, and this is not executed right here. It is just passed to the SQL string as a subquery, and database optimizes all the fields that it needs to fetch and check. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Yeah. Let me know if anyone has any questions.
But do the users and permissions from ERP Next, are they now easy to apply on dashboards, or does this solve the problem of having custom permissions set for insights separately?
So this is specifically for individual, like which user has access to which dashboards, like a very high level. The feature you are talking about is basically, yeah. So I mean, just to answer that first question, it is supported. It is just, you can just enable a checkbox, and ERP Next permissions apply to Insights ka dashboards and charts. Yeah.
But what you spoke about was specific to enabling custom permissions on Insights.
Yes.
How do I decide which dashboard to share with whom?
Yes.
That's what it was about. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
You generated the charts, right? And for the charts also, you are generating the queries, like SQL queries, or you are doing the computation.
Yes. So for charts also, it builds a query object, which is just a representation of a SQL string, and that SQL is just executed in the database, and the results are returned.
Okay. And post that, you also do the computation for the...
So the computation, all of it happens at the database level itself. Like
okay. So no Python?
No computation is
That's
done.
Why it's so fast.
Yeah, at Python level.
And can you just show where it's being executed? Last question, sorry.
I'm
Which
not
file?
sure.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it's no worries.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to cut the Q&A short. We are running a little late. We still have 3 more flash talks left.
Thanks. I have 2-part question. Here.
Sorry, I can't see.
Saqib here.
Yeah.
So I have 2-part question. One is what Madam just asked, that it is about sharing which chart is to be shown to which user.
Yes.
But the data constraints that are coming from user permission, will that be also included in this?
Yes, so that works. So it works something like this. There is this. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it got connected. So there is this setting here, permissions, apply user permissions. So once you enable this, there is a special data source, which is this Insights local. This is my site name. So only for this data source, all the ERP Next user permissions will be applied to all the data you are accessing via query builder or SQL or.
So is it a real time fetching from main database, or it is going to store the data user permissions over here?
It will add the filter conditions to the SQL itself.
No, the user permission. So
Yeah,
user
yeah.
permissions will be fetched from the main database, or it will be stored in the inside database?
It will be fetched from the main database.
Okay, and it will be a real time
Yes.
issue. Okay.
It will be a real time thing.
Okay, and second part is there any way that we can have insights dashboard on ERP Next platform?
So that is possible, but it's a little like the UX is, I don't consider the UX very good. So you can copy the embed link, which is essentially HTML element, and this can be added to any anywhere where you can add custom HTML basically.
Okay, but not a complete dashboard. Like if I want to keep it as a dashboard in ERP, that cannot happen. It
So
will
this
be
is
embedded.
this is the dashboard. Like if I go to this link, so the whole dashboard will be embedded into the frame wherever you want to.
All right. Thank you.